Alright, so in For Honor, there are zones of basically all shapes and sizes. There are maybe some zones that have multiple hits into them. There are some zones that'll have a singular hit. Some zones can feature some fancy soft feint or something. Basically, what I want to get at is no one thing that I say is going to apply to every single zone in the game. I'm gonna try and hit basically the most universal rules when it comes to zones, and then kind of get more obscure and diverse from there. So first off, obviously enough, it's in the name, zone. It'll hit a wide area, which is really good for clearing minions and hitting multiple targets at the same time. Lawbringer's really good at this, as after a parry, his zone is going to be unblockable, same with Jane June. And seeing how it's only 600 milliseconds, it's going to be really useful in teamfights to just hit a lot of people at the same time. If you're fighting an enemy by their own minions, you can actually look towards the minions and throw the zone. This will make it hit sooner than it should, and will also be unparryable to them since you're not throwing the attack at them. When it comes to killing minions specifically, some characters will have a much better zone for the task than others. Black Prior, for one, is not going to be able to kill any minions because his zone is only a bash. Gladiator will also have a tough time since his first hit is also a bash. Medjay can throw one zone and then go into axe stance, and then throw another zone and chain into staff stance, and then infinitely keep doing this until all of the minions are dead or he's out of stamina. And then also, since the trajectory is so wide, they usually have really good tracking. As I said, this doesn't apply to all characters, not nearly, but Warden can showcase this very well since his neutral lights have very little tracking, but if you feint into a zone, it can be really good for catching dodges and dodge attacks. Another use for zones is adding onto punishes. As a general rule of thumb, zones will do more damage but take more stamina than a neutral light. Shigoki's zone is really good for this use as it doesn't take that much more stamina than the neutral light and does 2 more damage. The only reason you would not want to ever throw the zone on heavy parry, or for any other reason for that matter, is when you have a 2-hit zone and only a sliver left of stamina. If you get put out of stamina off the first hit, then you will not be able to feint the second and your enemy will get a free knockdown punish on you. Gladiator is exempt from this rule because even though his zone is technically a 2-parter, the second hit will be confirmed off of the first hit bash. Another thing I should mention about Gladiator's zone is that it actually becomes his highest damage heavy parry punish if he has the Haymaker tier 2 feat. It'll make the first part of the zone 5 damage and the second 14 for 19 in total compared to his 15 damage from just a forward dodge light. Next, if your opponent's back is to a ledge, then you're gonna want to do the zone instead of a light since the light will not be able to ledge them. This rule only matters for a handful of characters since most will actually have a forward dodge bash or some other parry riposte which is confirmed off a heavy parry which can ledge without requiring the zone. Characters like Hitokiri though, the zone's your only ledging option. Warden can actually take it a step further, seeing as how his forward dodge bash is confirmed off of a parry and the zone is confirmed off the forward dodge bash. This means he will be able to ledge from quite far away just by doing this combo. For Sohei, the zone is going to be the highest damage guard break punish for 24 damage, and for Hatun, the zone is usually going to be optimal over her pin since she can chain out of her zone. For PK, the first part of her zone actually does 1 less damage than her neutral light, however the second swing of her zone, soft feint to guard break, can grab out of dodge attacks, whereas the light into heavy into soft feint cannot. So usually if you plan on continuing your offense, the zone is going to be optimal in my opinion. Next, a zone may be optimal in some situations to get your offense started, seeing as how, compared to a light, a zone will actually allow you to continue your stamina if your opponent just blocks it. And once again, Gladiator zone has another caveat. So if you use this as an opener, I'm sure it'll work 9 times out of 10 against plenty of people. However, if you're facing someone like me, the zone will actually be completely reactable. So, yeah. His neutral toe step is also reactable to people like me, so his only unreactable opener is going to be his forward dodge bash, which doesn't confirm any damage. Isn't high level MMR just a swell time? One more thing that's decently common is Hatun and Sohei's ability to punish guard breaks with their zones for 24 damage. They do have 100 milliseconds of guard break vulnerability at the very beginning, so you're going to have to do this on prediction rather than reaction. Now for some really obscure shit. So Warden, Warlord, Centurion, and Shaman are able to get Blade Blockaded and parry the follow-up heavy, or light, or dodge the heavy, or dodge the kick. I covered these interactions more comprehensively in my obscure matchup knowledge video, so for the sake of not repeating myself, I'm just gonna leave the link to that in the description and the comment section. However, one thing that I was not able to test out in that video was Nushia's deflex, since the AI used to not be able to go through with it. However, now that they can, I will show you Shaman being able to parry it. It is going to be on read since the deflect is 400 milliseconds, but her window is quite large compared to Centurion's, whose is a singular frame. If any of you pull this off in an actual match and send me the clip, I will personally go to your house and suck you off or eat you out. For this to happen, you have to be going specifically Centurion, against specifically Nushia, and a Nushia player that can deflect your zone, and then you have to make a 1/3 read as to what direction they're going to throw the deflect from, and then you have to hit that singular parry frame. Yeah, safe to say that knowing this probably isn't going to help you at all anytime soon. But anyway, I hope it's at least interesting to see, and anyways, that's about it. See ya.